recognized symbol of excellence for your entertainment.
My hair looks like pimento loaf. Welcome to Machino Music, the show that puts the music in Machino music, with your host, me, Brett Strong. Today on Machino Music, we'll be talking about some movie soundtracks. Soundtracks to movies. We'll figure it out. Okay, here we go. Soundtracks, movie soundtracks, a lot of great songs. Some songs were only done for a certain movie, weren't released on an actual studio album by some of these bands. So let's take a look at these. I'm going to start with this. This like changed my life. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. The soundtrack I actually got later, so the reissue. Of course, because it's on CD. I think CDs were still fairly new. I got this much later. But this is a great... I mean, this movie changed my life. I wouldn't be making movies if not for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. But yeah, great album. Got some really cool stuff on here. It's all like, I mean, not like really big name, sort of like hair metal bands at the time. I mean, Extreme is on here. They were just starting to get big. Shark Island, actually a really cool band. They never were huge, but some great tunes by them on here. Power Tool, which features the band that would eventually become Nelson, Ricky Nelson's sons. Matthew and Gunnar, they're on here, along with Dweezil Zappa, Frank Zappa's kid. And of course, I mean, it's a really cool song, Two Heads Are Better Than One. There's a back there. The great George Carlin again, as Rufus. But yeah, this movie changed my life, and I love this soundtrack. And this is the first one I heard. This is an original cassette of the Bill and Ted sequel, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. This is the first time I ever heard heavy metal. This is what really got me into heavy metal, was hearing a lot of this. I mean, so many bands, even bands that are still one of my all-time favorite bands to this day. Kiss. This is a song that really got me into Kiss. First Kiss song I ever heard. Now they're one of my all-time favorite bands. God Gave Rock and Roll to You 2, which I didn't realize at the time. That's why it was called 2. It's because it's like a sequel sort of to the original song, which is done by another one of my all-time favorite bands, Argent. And I saw Argent live. Actually, the Zombies, who eventually sort of morphed into Argent, saw the Zombies, and next thing you know, they start playing Argent tunes, and they're playing God Gave Rock and Roll to You. I thought, this is great. Hear one of my all-time favorite songs, perhaps my favorite Kiss song ever. I get to hear it played live by the Zombies. So yeah, great, love it. It's really got me into Megadeth. First Megadeth song I ever heard was on here, Go to Hell. First Primus song I ever heard on here, Tommy the Cat. Yeah, this was great. So a lot of these bands became some of my favorites. Steve Vai does like a lot of does some instrumental stuff on here. Yeah, this is just great. Love this. It's the original cassette. And yeah, it's just really cool. I still have to. Still plays pretty well too. But yeah, changed my life, those soundtracks. Another one of my all-time favorite movies. Love this. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. The soundtrack. Got a lot of great tunes on here. Jackson Browne, Somebody's Baby. That song was like the centerpiece song of the movie. Joe Walsh, The Eagles, has Waffle Stomp on here. Actually, all the Eagles pretty well all kind of solo on. Don Henley did a song, Love Rules. Timothy B. Schmidt did a cover of So Much in Love. I forgot the doo-wop group that did that originally. Ravens, we weren't even really a band. Ravens did a song, Raised on the Radio. It's actually that song is just poop. It's garbage. It's not good at all. And it's played so much in the movie. And actually, on the DVD commentary, writer Cameron Crowe and director Amy Heckerling talk about the songs they would have preferred to have had. Because a lot of this was like chosen by the studio. And it was just a lot of the, just kind of singer-songwriter kind of stuff. Really commercial stuff. I mean, nothing against, the artists like, the Eagles and Jackson Browne and everything, but they were like thinking, we could have had, they wanted like Elvis Costello. They wanted Bruce Springsteen. They wanted like AC/DC even. They wanted a lot more of like the punk, new wave, the heavy metal that the kids were actually listening to. Because that's what Cameron Crowe was observing when he, actually posed as a high school student and wrote the original novel, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. These kids are into, like, Van Halen. All the bands that Mike Damone is scalping tickets for, that's who they wanted on the soundtrack. Van Halen, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin they managed to get, but that's not on here. One of the only soundtracks actually that ever managed to get Led Zeppelin, but that's not on here. Sammy Hagar's title tune, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, is great. One of the best Sammy Hagar tunes. Donna Summer on here. Stevie Nicks. That's a beautiful song, actually. Sleeping Angel. Love Stevie Nicks. So cool. Oingo Boingo. Goodbye, Goodbye. Really fun. Oingo Boingo was one of the only bands they got in there. And the Go-Go's. They're on here. The Go-Go's doing a song called Speeding. Great tune. Although we don't get We Got the Beat, which opened the movie. Yeah. Those are the only two new wave bands I think that actually got on here were the Go-Go's and Oingo Boingo. And of course the, here on the back here too as well, the iconic Jeff Spicoli shoes. Everybody wears these. Everybody has these shoes. I have these shoes and I got them because of this, and then every time I go like, man, everybody has these shoes. I'm not unique anymore. Not that I was before, because I got them because of this.
Awesome! Totally awesome!
Love them, but yeah, great. Go on forever talking about that soundtrack and that movie. Alright, next up, here's a vinyl. Actually, all the rest of these are on vinyl. Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke. Hilarious, great movie. I'm not a stoner. I don't do drugs. I don't, but I love Cheech and Chong. Movies are so funny. And actually, if you watch these movies straight, any of the Cheech and Chong movies, you realize how well they're made. They're extremely well made. So there's a benefit to watching these movies completely straight, because you realize, man, this is actually really well done. Like, they're like insane comedy versions of Robert Altman movies. I'm getting all film nerd on you. A lot of songs Cheech and Chong did for this. Up in Smoke, the title track. Tommy Chong singing. You got Lowrider by War. A lot of these are just kind of bits. Like, this is almost like a Cheech and Chong album. It has a lot of like the clips from the movie. They're kind of like their comedy bits on their comedy albums. Got the classic Earache My Eye by Alice Bowie. That's how it was credited. Mashup of Alice Cooper and David Bowie. That was their group name. Yeah, I really enjoy that. Here's the back scenes from the movie. Right there's the Ajax girl. Snorts Ajax and then turns into a maniac. It's inside here. Really cool. There's the final Earache My Eye scene. Cheech Marin, Tommy Chong. Love it. I believe Tommy Chong is supposed to be dressed as a giant quaalude in this scene. But crazy. Love it. Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke. Alright, this next one. This is really cool. It's an original copy of this. The Beatles Magical Mystery Tour. Actually, I'm talking about the Beatles. Why don't I change into my Beatles shirt? Alright, there I am in my Beatles shirt. Simple as that. So let's talk about Magical Mystery Tour. I don't remember if I've actually ever seen this movie, this whole movie. I mean, Hard Day's Night's a classic Beatles movie. I've seen that a ton of times. I love that movie. But this is a soundtrack for Magical Mystery Tour. Had a lot of the classic Beatles songs on it. Blue Jay Way, Fool on a Hill. I Am the Walrus. There's the walrus right there. Forget who was each character. I believe John Lennon was the walrus. Here's the inside. This is really cool. Just scenes from the motion picture. It's really cool. It's all still intact. It's like a comic book and stuff in here. Really cool. Full color shot of the band. Really psychedelic years. Yeah, this is really cool. Did I include this? Got to include anything by the Beatles. Here's the back. The legendary white suits. All the tracks are listed on the front here. Hello, Goodbye, Strawberry Fields Forever, great tune. Penny Lane, Baby You're a Rich Man, All You Need Is Love. Yeah, of course the title track, Magical Mystery Tour, is great. But yeah, really cool. Magical Mystery Tour. Gotta have the Beatles. Alright, continuing on here. We got Into the Night. Very obscure. A lot of people have forgotten about this movie, starring Jeff Goldblum and Michelle Pfeiffer. Really cool movie, directed by John Landis. Now, I know we're not allowed to talk about John Landis because people, woke up to a whole thing that happened on the Twilight Zone movie. Very tragic, horrible, horrible accident. But John Landis is my all-time favorite director. And it's because of movies like this. I'm not even really a fan of the Twilight Zone movie. I know that might be blasphemous for some to hear, but, the comedies. John Landis' movie, his comedies. This one is so underrated. I love this movie. If you can find it, definitely, it's so good. Yeah, this was a huge influence on my first movie, High Speed Flamingo. I just love this. Yeah, but it's B.B. King doing the soundtrack. You need the title track, Into the Night. It's such a cool song. Great B.B. King tune. Also got My Lucille, In the Midnight Hour. A lot of blues, a lot of soul stuff on here, a lot of R&B. Again, Marvin Gaye. Get the Four Tops. Yeah. Actually, there's a special thanks here. Special thanks to Dan Aykroyd, Jeff Goldblum, Steve Martin, Eddie Murphy, Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah, because they all, I guess, contributed to this. But yeah, great movie. Here's the back. B.B. King. The cool, the great, the awesome B.B. King. Legend. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm a big John Landis fan. The comedies. I'm not talking about the, you just kind of, the legendary comedies. I don't want to get into some big thing about John Landis. People putting gifs of a helicopter flying around in the comment section. Please don't do that. That's not what we're doing here. We're just talking about the music. We're talking about the other stuff. That's my rant. All right, let's go back into this. All right, here's Flash Gordon. Classic Queen soundtrack. The movie's actually not very good, but this soundtrack is actually really awesome. Here's the back. Yeah, this is so cool. Here's the inside. Look at that. There's the movie. Sam Jones as Flash Gordon. Max von Sydow as Ming the Merciless. I don't know who she is, but she's gorgeous. Timothy Dalton. Yeah. It's really cool. A insert card here, another Max von Sydow. I didn't show this. There's the band. There's Queen. I was about to show it. Freddie Mercury, Brian May, Roger Taylor, and John Deacon looking all cool and uptown in his little hat. But yeah, this is great. It's got some really cool stuff on here. A lot of instrumental stuff, but it's really cool. The Flash's theme, really cool. Love that one. Football Fight, it's a really cool instrumental. Also, one of the best Queen songs, one of the best heavy Queen songs written by Brian May is on here, The Hero. That song is awesome. I mean, if you want, this is one of those albums that if you want to do a good deep dive on Queen, here's songs that you don't want, you might never hear, just like on, Queen songs, all the greatest hits, whatever. I mean, this one, if you really want something different, this is such a cool album. Ming, just keep showing a photo of Max. This is not the actual sound, the actual cover. I'm just showing Max von Sydow. Put this all back in now. Right there. Oh, that almost went right on the floor. That would have been a disaster. Excuse me while I just sort of... Because CDs and tapes are like really bulky, so I've put flat records on top of it. Just goes straight down. Not good. Alright, let's end here with one of the biggest selling soundtrack albums of all time. Actually, I believe the biggest selling soundtrack album of all time. Saturday Night Fever, the Bee Gees. I mean, this is the first Bee Gees stuff. I love the Bee Gees. This was the first Bee Gees stuff I ever heard. This was their disco years when a lot of people abandoned the Bee Gees. What the hell are they doing? They were a pop band before, and now they're doing disco. Get the hell out of here with your disco. But I like the Bee Gees disco. They did it well. Of course, Staying Alive, How Deep Is Your Love, Jive Talkin', which was on the Main Course album. My favorite Bee Gees album is Main Course, but they put the Jive Talkin' on here. More Than a Woman, great song. You Should Be Dancing, which is also a previously released song they put on this album. Yeah. So cool. Here's the back. Robin. Morris. And of course Barry. Barry was 70s hot. Barry's one of those guys, he was just 70s hot. The girls like Barry. Some of the guys too, I'm sure. He was 70s hot, let me tell you. But yeah. Got a Vaughn element. Talk about being 70s hot. All times hot. She's cute. You know what she looked like. She did If I Can't Have You. Great song. Classic. The Tavares. What the hell did they sing? I'm just trying to find why they're listed. I don't see their names on here. Oh, there they did. Oh, they did version of More Than a Woman. There it is. I'm blind. It's right in front of me. I'm looking at their photo, trying to. Why don't I recognize these dudes? But yeah. But it's like a 2-album set. See, like this. Record 1. Record 2. And then here's the inside. Really cool. Shots from the movie. John Travolta in all his white suit glory. Burning up the floors like a disco maniac. And there he's just like, oh my God, look, I'm like dancing. You see, I'm like on the floors and all the lights shining. Yeah, that's John Travolta enjoying himself dancing. There he is again, like, oh my god, I'm like having heart palpitations. But yeah, really cool soundtrack and a cool movie too. That's like a snapshot of 1970s New York and that whole disco scene. So really, really cool. So there you go. Some movie soundtracks. Gotta love soundtrack albums. That's it for this week. Until we meet again, this is Brett Strong saying good journey.